Day 27. 1. Praying for the abandoned souls in purgatory is most pleasing to God. People often recount stories of hearing strange, terrifying noises caused by souls of the dead who appear and make frightening sounds in homes. In Ferrara, Italy, there stood a magnificent castle, long abandoned because every night mysterious noises echoed through it, and no one could explain the cause. A law student, courageous and rational, believed all such rumors were simply products of fear. He volunteered to stay in the castle, declaring that he would prove that those frightening tales were groundless. The owner agreed and offered him a room free of charge for 10 years. His trial began immediately. On the very first day, he arranged his books and belongings, preparing to study. That night, he sat resolutely at his desk, praying for protection and studying diligently. He had also asked that the room be blessed and placed holy objects on his desk to ward off evil. Near midnight, eerie noises resounded throughout the castle. Listening carefully, he realized it was the sound of heavy chains dragging across the floor. The young man, unshaken, sat calmly and waited. When he turned toward the door, it suddenly opened. What did he see? A terrifying specter, grotesque and chained at the hands and feet, entered the room. It answered none of his questions, only sat beside him and stared with chilling eyes. He trembled, but forced himself to remain calm, silently praying and continuing his studies. Finally, in a hoarse, rasping voice, the ghost asked, "What are you studying so intently?" "I am looking for a legal reference," the student replied. "That book is not here. Take the other one. You will find what you need on page—" "Thank you," the student said, and resumed his work. When dawn approached, the ghost rose, its chains clanging. It lifted a lamp and walked ahead, as if guiding him. The student followed. When they reached the back entrance, the ground suddenly cracked open. The ghost descended, and the student quickly placed a blessed candle at the exact spot. Immediately the spirit let out a painful cry and fled. Understanding at last, the villagers dug at that spot. They found the bones of an unknown man, who had been buried without any religious rites. Because of this improper burial, he suffered greatly in purgatory. They gave the body proper burial and offered masses for his soul. From that day onward, the castle was never again disturbed. Everyone believed that God had allowed an abandoned soul in purgatory to appear and ask for prayers. 2. Heeding warnings to avoid falling into purgatory. 1a. The story of Father Ducci of the Jesuits, Nicolette Zucchi. Father Ducci persuaded 3 Roman sisters to enter religious life. The youngest was followed by a young knight who desired her deeply. She rejected all worldly pursuits and was firmly resolved to consecrate herself entirely to God. The knight still hoped to win her back. With persistent pleas and romantic words, he tried to draw her away from her vocation. Hearing this, Father Ducci earnestly prayed that God would grant her strength and perseverance. One day, Father met the knight and advised him, "Have charity for this maiden of Christ. Do not turn yourself into an enemy of Jesus. Think of your soul. Soon you will stand before God. What worth will worldly pleasures have then?" The young man apologized sincerely and promised to consider those words. However, he did not change. He continued living the same sinful life. Father's warning soon proved true. 2 weeks later, the knight suddenly died. One evening, while the young sister was praying, she heard a voice calling, "Come to the guest room immediately." Terrified but obedient, she took a lamp and went. There she saw a strange man. She asked, "Sir, who are you? Why do you call me at this hour?" The visitor did not answer. Instead, he stepped closer, opened his cloak, and revealed that he was bound by flaming chains around his neck, hands, knees, and feet. He cried out, "Pray for me!" Then he vanished instantly. That soul was suffering terribly in purgatory and pleaded for her assistance. The 3 sisters and the entire convent prayed earnestly for him. How blessed he would have been had he listened to Father Ducci's advice. 2a. The story of Father Carafa, Jesuit provincial. Father Carafa was called to prepare the soul of a nobleman condemned to death. The man felt unworthy of a criminal's death, humiliated, ashamed, and terrified. Father Carafa gently persuaded him, teaching him that accepting punishment humbly would bring God's mercy and salvation. The man's heart was deeply moved. He repented sincerely and embraced his fate with humility. After witnessing this transformation, the people were greatly edified. Immediately after the execution, Father Carafa visited the condemned man's mother. At the moment her son was beheaded, Father saw his soul rise to heaven, escorted by angels wearing crowns of glory. A priest asked, "Should we offer masses for him?" Father replied, "No need. We should rejoice, for his soul did not pass through purgatory." Another time, while Father was busy with his duties, he suddenly stopped, his face changed, his eyes lifted upward, and he exclaimed repeatedly, "Oh, what great glory! Oh, how blessed!" When asked what he saw, he answered, "The soul of the executed man appearing in heavenly glory." 3. Choosing to live again to do penance for the dead. Blessed Christine the Admirable, Christine l'Admirable, had a profound devotion to the holy souls in purgatory. To save them, she voluntarily embraced extreme penances beyond imagination. The angels took her spirit to purgatory, where she witnessed the horrifying torments. Then they raised her to heaven, and God gave her a choice: remain in heaven and enjoy eternal joy, or return to earth to perform penance and gain merits for the souls in purgatory. She chose to return to earth to suffer. She came back to life in front of all who had begun preparing her burial. From that moment, she endured terrible suffering. She lived without eating or drinking. She accepted being beaten, burned, frozen. She threw herself into thorns, flames, icy waters, and torture wheels. She subjected herself to unimaginable pains to free souls from purgatory. God frequently allowed the souls she helped to appear and thank her. A Duke of Leon, suffering terribly in purgatory, appeared to her, begging for help. She hurled herself into fire and ice on his behalf until he was delivered. He later appeared to her filled with glory and gratitude. Prayer. O admirable Saint Christine, how wondrous is your sublime charity. Frail in body yet mighty in holiness, you renounced heavenly bliss and embraced terrifying sufferings to ransom the souls in purgatory. We earnestly implore you, help us imitate your heroic love, that we may learn to sacrifice ourselves in some small way for the salvation of souls. Amen.